Empathy. Empathy is a key part of emotional intelligence. Empathy is the ability to emotionally understand what other people feel, see things from their point of view, and imagine yourself in their place. Essentially, it is putting yourself in another person's shoes and feeling what they might be feeling. Have you ever encountered a person in your family, in amongst your friends, a coworker, you just feel like, why can't they understand my situation? Probably because they lack empathy. What seems so much of suffering or painful or hurtful to you, and they're turning your lives upside down, and you keep telling them, but they absolutely are not willing to see it from your point of view or what it's doing to you. It might probably be because they lack empathy. Empathy means that when you see another person from situation from their point of view, you're able to envision yourself going through that same experience and feel what they're going through. And it's particularly handy, makes all the difference when there's pain, suffering, hurt, trauma happening, when you are dealing with someone who has empathy. While people can be well attuned to their own feelings and emotions, getting into the shoes of someone else can be difficult, especially if it is an area, a field, or a situation that they have absolutely no clue about or they have not experienced before. The ability to feel empathy allows people to walk a mile in another person's shoes, so to speak, and it permits people to understand the emotions that others are feeling. Empathy is a key part of emotional intelligence, recognizing emotions in others. Empathy is the ability to read and grasp the emotions of another person. Have you known someone? You just feel like they can read you very well, what you might be feeling or what you might be going through, and then you might know someone, they just simply cannot relate to another person besides themselves. Very rarely do people express their emotions in words. You might not always say, I feel happy, or I feel sad, or I feel uh, really distraught. You may not necessarily say it through words. You might express it differently. Empathy is intangible, not tangible. When empathy for another person is completely disregarded by a person, it leaves a residue of destruction, and it leaves the other person feeling drained. When you feel like over and over someone is doing something where they have absolutely no regard for your feelings, then it shows lack of empathy and it just leaves the other person feeling drained. Empathy can lead to the lack of empathy can lead to many negative uh, situations and negative emotions. Jealousy can arise, anger can arise. There could be a lot of arguments, and sometimes it could lead to violence. And people can, even the nicest person, even the person with the deepest level of empathy, can become a rather uncaring person when they're constantly dealing with someone who absolutely has no empathy. And even that nice person who is emotionally intelligent with empathy can go in a negative direction because of the lack of it being directed towards them. Lack of empathy can affect a person, even the nicest and emotionally healthiest person, in a negative way, sometimes not maybe necessarily overnight, over time. That's why you might think of some person and you think, what happened to that person? She or he used to be the nicest person and was very caring, and now they have become very different. Unknown to you, over a prolonged period of time, they may have consistently been influenced by a person who lacked empathy, and it may have caused the other person to go in a different direction. Someone practicing empathy might be able to attune better to the people around them and to make changes to motivate others. And it can lead to better time management, it can lead to less toxicity, it can lead to better understanding and overall feeling of wellness in the workplace. One of the strongest empathy builders is, if let's say you're running a company or you own your own business or you're overseeing people, one of the strongest empathy builders is to spend a day or two doing the workload of an employee, and not just the workload from 9 to 5, but to get a sense of their overall day, a day in the life of that person. Observe how do they drive, what type of traffic do they have to hit when they drive back home, what is their home environment like, and to get, and this will give them a good idea of what it is like to be in that person's shoes. And then the next time they have to deal with the conflict or problem, they have a better sense of, I see why that person is handling it this way or reacting like this, because they have now literally put themselves in the shoes of that employee to practice empathy. Why is this important from a monetary standpoint? This kind of empathy benefits the company because it makes, firstly, it makes the staff feel like the people, the CEO or the owner cares enough about them. It creates a sense of oneness. It lifts the staff spirits. It makes the person, CEO or the owner, more lovable, and people want to give their best to that person. And all this can affect profits. Empathy, putting ourselves in another person's shoes.